Hello again, everyone. Welcome to National Signing Day here at the Voice of College Football. Want to say welcome again to a number of you who joined us on a very successful Oklahoma live stream that we just finished up about 45 minutes ago with Jason Ray over on the Oklahoma channel. So thank you so much for stopping by for that. We had about 300 on the line there. Wanted to run through the signings today. We have a number of updates to report and get your feedback on. And for it not being the National Signing Day anymore, there's still plenty to talk about and plenty of exciting transactions here to run through here at the Voice of College Football. We also want you to know that we're going to be live for 3 hours tonight. So that's going to be Michigan Live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time over on the Michigan channel, Michigan Live at 5 Eastern, Florida State Live at 6 over on the Florida State channel, and then Miami with a big day in recruiting for the Canes, and Mario Cristobal to report and talk to Cam Underwood from State of the U tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on the Miami channel. All right, so again, Oklahoma, Michigan, Florida State, Miami live streams today. We have moved the Ohio State live stream to Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time over on our Buckeyes channel. Want to run down the recent commits and signings because this is National Signing Day. So these are not just commits, they are signings. And Will, I do not believe that Joe Burrow was signing today. I think he's taking care of that. Cheryl, good to see you as well. When will Coach Frost speak? Will be sometime later this afternoon. I believe that our guy Greg Peterson from Husker Online let us know that yesterday during our Nebraska show, but sometime mid to late afternoon, I think, was Coach Frost going to be addressing the media, in which Nebraska picked up two big commits. So maybe we'll start right there. Realistic one, yes, the rich get richer. In particular, Texas A&M signing Shemar Stewart, and his choices were down to Miami and Texas A&M. He certainly said, and he was very upfront about saying that, hey, maybe if I had a longer time to get to know Mario Cristobal and his staff, then maybe I would have chosen otherwise. But yes, that's the big news of the day that came down just about an hour ago. Texas A&M has signed defensive lineman Shemar Stewart. So Texas A&M, with the number one rated class in college football and arguably the best class in the history of recruiting, has signed another number one player at his position, Shemar Stewart, Texas A&M. So just to get you caught up on the metrics there, Shemar Stewart's, of course, a 5-star. He is the third rated player at his position of defensive line, number one rated player in the state of Florida, and number 10 nationally, according to 247 Sports. So Texas A&M signs Shemar Stewart. Miami was close. Miami was awfully close, but still a big day for Mario Cristobal and company. Miami pulled off probably the surprise of the day in nabbing running back Trevonte Citizen. Also defensive lineman Ahmad Moten. That just came out in the last hour. And a 3-star offensive lineman in Inez Cooper, who's very highly thought of. So your measurements on those players in particular, Trevonte Citizen, 9th rated running back, 10th rated in the state of Louisiana, basically top 100 player, number 107, according to the 247 Sports Composite. Inez Cooper, 3-star. That drives a lot of people away that aren't into recruiting. 3-star. What can a 3-star do for us? We need 4 and 5 stars. Inez Cooper, a lot is said of Inez Cooper in glowing reviews. 48th rated player in the state of Alabama, out of Pleasant Grove High School in Pleasant Grove, Alabama. 6'6", 352, Inez Cooper. And he's 105th rated at his position And then also, yes, Ahmad Moten also signing with Miami. That's a very recent signing. Defensive lineman, number 82 in the country out of Fort Lauderdale, Cardinal Gibbons High School. And Ahmad Moten for Miami. Jordan Davis was a 3-star. We could go on and on about 3-star recruits and how good they've been. And again, for more specific recruiting updates and analysis on your favorite teams, we've got Michigan live at 5, Florida State at 6, Miami at 7. We wrapped up Oklahoma live. You can check out that live stream on the Oklahoma channel. Also scheduled over the next 2 days here at the Voice of College Football, we've got reports coming from Clemson, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, Kentucky, LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Oregon, and probably more after I track down some more individuals. Mark Thibodeau, why would a player commit to Michigan not knowing that the head coach will stay or go? Well, at this point, fortunately for Michigan and whomever the next head coach is, they've got 22 signed. They're signed. So they could possibly transfer, make some kind of move, but most likely they are good to go for the 2022 class. They only had one other guy, student athlete, that was a commit that did not sign on National Signing Day on December 15th, and that's Kevontae Henry out of California. So most likely he's now up for grabs because he doesn't know who the coach at Michigan's going to be. So Kevontae Henry, an edge rusher out of California, may not fulfill his commitment to Michigan, and you can understand why, but he would be the only guy in question right now. DeAndre Baker. Saw him play some in the NFL playoffs this year as a 3-star from Georgia. All right. Also, let's run down some more big commitments coming in. Georgia has received signings from defensive lineman Christian Miller and running back Andrew Paul. Paul is the 42nd rated running back in the country out of Dallas, Texas. 75th rated player in the state of Texas. 534 overall. Doesn't seem up to Georgia's standards in regards to recruiting, but Andrew Paul had a number of schools he was looking at, so he's more highly thought of than his recruiting ranking would indicate there. And Christian Miller, as a top-notch defensive lineman, number 14 in the country, 9th rated player in the state of Georgia, so he stays home. And Christian Miller was down to his selection of Ohio State or Georgia. He takes Georgia, and he's a top 100 player nationally. Again, the big news, of course, Shemar Stewart, Texas A&M. The other one we're waiting on that was supposed to be announced at 2:15, and maybe somebody's got a beat on this, but because I could not find it. But Harold Perkins, who is the number 1 rated linebacker in the country, Harold Perkins, he had committed to Texas A&M. He decommitted last week, and it was supposed to come down to Texas A&M, Florida, or LSU. And so Harold Perkins was still out there and apparently was going to announce his decision at 2:15 Eastern. So we're well past then, but haven't heard on Harold Cooper. We're going to have a Clemson report for you either later today or most likely on Thursday from our guy Jason Priester of All Clemson on SI. But Clemson had a nice day signing Keith Adams, running back, and also defensive lineman Caden Story. Clemson with a small recruiting class here in 2022. But those are a couple of key pickups for them. Caden Story, really the guy that has a high ranking. Cannot find Caden's Story here. Let's go to a couple recent signings that just came down, according to 247 Sports. You got Noah Matthews, defensive lineman out of Delaware. Not a whole lot of players in Delaware, but Noah Matthews has signed with Kentucky as the top 150 defensive lineman, third-rated player in the state of Delaware. And Alabama gets a commit from a tight end, a signing from a commit. Danny Lewis, tight end out of Louisiana, 31st rated tight end in the country and a top 30 player in the state of Louisiana. We've had a ton of discussion in recent weeks on our Miami channel about Jack Pyburn. Miami felt as though it was in the running, but Jack Pyburn, the edge rusher out of Jacksonville, Florida, has signed with the Florida Gators and Billy Napier. Louisville gets a top-notch cornerback in Jeremiah Caldwell. And let's see, Jordan James. He is a flip from Georgia. Big flip from Georgia. The running back Jordan James now signs with Oregon. 5'10", 205, 16th rated running back in the country. So after Jordan James flipped from Georgia to Oregon, then Georgia went out and got Andrew Paul. But Jordan James, running back, 5'10", 205 out of Tennessee, signs with Oregon. So he's headed across country there. Oklahoma gets a nice signing in edge rusher R. Mason Thomas. And Duke gets a 3-star running back in Travis Bates. Let's see what you guys are talking about right now. Almost Hero, surprised that 2 University of Delaware quarterbacks make the list of Super Bowl quarterbacks. Yes, Rich Gannon, who threw 5 interceptions against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, but Joe Flacco made up for it with a Super Bowl MVP. That was a fun one for me to put together. Okay, there we go. Big Dog letting us know that Harold Perkins is going to make his selection today at 4:30. I thought that was going to be at 2:15. 4:30. Thank you so much for that, Big Dog Brett. Check out Brett's YouTube channel, Big Dog Brett, talking Georgia football over there. Has Auburn signed anyone? Shadow. 18 commits for Auburn. I'm almost positive these are the same 18. We just cut an Auburn segment a couple days ago with E2C Network, and they had 18 signings at that point. So I don't see any Auburn commits for today. I've run down all the major ones, all the major schools. In addition to the ones I've run down, also we've got Greg Delaney, a cornerback, signing with Syracuse. BYU gets a cornerback in Zion Allen out of California. Nebraska had a good day. So Nebraska signs wide receiver Janarin Bonner, who was a Georgia Tech flip, and A.J. Allen, a TCU flip, running back A.J. Allen. So Nebraska, and we had our Nebraska live show on last time with Greg Peterson from Husker Online, and he had said that he felt good about those 2 flips, committing and signing with Nebraska, and sure enough, they have signed with the Huskers. So wide receiver Janarin Bonner and running back A.J. Allen are Nebraska Cornhuskers. Somebody asked about Miami. We reviewed Miami's big day. So they lost Shemar Stewart, but Miami picks up Trevonte Citizen, the running back out of Louisiana, defensive lineman Amon Moten out of Florida, and offensive lineman Inez Cooper as well, the 3-star. And we ran down their metrics and numbers as well. Yeah, 2 big flips, Dewey, for Nebraska. The 2 that they wanted to get, they got both of them. Miami doing well. Yes, Miami was ranked 38th in the country in the 247 Sports rankings entering today. 38th. They're now number 14. Yes, so Trevonte Citizen was on Auburn's list. They were on his list, and he decided elsewhere. Yes, Citizen to Miami. Nebraska doing well. Hummus hero Gary Patterson is now a member of the Texas coaching staff as an analyst. So no Gary Patterson at TCU. Mike, good to see you. We'll see you at 6 o'clock Eastern time. Tonight, we've got our Florida State show at 6 Eastern. We'll run down the day in Florida State recruiting, which is pretty quiet as of right now. 5 o'clock is our Michigan show, and at 7 o'clock, Miami. LSU picks up a cornerback in Jalen Davis Robinson. Jalen Davis Robinson is a cornerback out of Waxahachie, Texas in this 2022 class. He's the 47th rated cornerback in the country, 71st rated out of Texas. He's a top 500 player and hard commit to LSU, and he is now signed with LSU. He had offers coming in from 12 other schools, including Boston College, Oregon, and others. Robert, Mark, your thoughts on 4-star running back and former Florida commit Terence Gibbs heading to Georgia Southern? Yeah. So my thoughts are initially just that I'm surprised anytime there's a movement that goes from high-level SEC program down to a Georgia Southern. I don't know what else is involved there. Hummus Hero, Georgia Southern is not an HBCU in regards to actually its, I don't want to speak incorrectly about its academic affiliation, but Georgia Southern's, yeah, so Rich Gannon did play for Delaware. So I got to tell you, Robert, I did not see that flip or that signing come down. So you are reporting news to me here. So, yeah, I don't know where that sits just in regards to the question posed by Hummus Hero about Georgia Southern being an HBCU. Well, athletically, it's not. It's a Sun Belt Conference member. But I was trying to look up some kind of designation. I believe there might be a different distinction athletically versus academically. But yeah, Terence Gibbs, just to give everyone a feel for what Georgia Southern is getting. So this is not typical of a Sun Belt team to get a running back who's number 29 in the nation, a 4-star, top 300 player, 321. So he's in that range. Winter Park, Florida, and he goes on to Georgia Southern. The thing that has to come to mind when you see something like that nowadays would be NIL. I don't know. What else could have impacted that? He just liked the coaching staff, built relationships there, and decided to head to Georgia Southern. But that's an excellent pickup for Georgia Southern. My goodness. But I'm not seeing necessarily that. Okay, so he is signed. Absolutely. Okay. All right. My intent here was just to jump on, catch up everybody on the most recent signings. I collected about 50 signings just over the last few minutes. So I just wanted to get everyone updated. Keep in mind, over the next 3 days, we are going to have National Signing Day reports coming in from Clemson, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, Kentucky, LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Oregon, and there will be others. Of course, we've got all our live shows. Ohio State has been moved. Buckeye fans, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday on the Ohio State channel. Michigan at 5 today. Florida State at 6. Miami at 7. There you go, JCH. Clay Helton, yes, is at Georgia Southern now, not an HBCU. So I knew it wasn't athletically because they play in the Sun Belt Conference. I did not know if there was any other academic distinction there because I did not want to speak out of place there. So thank you for that. Sean Jackson does not mind the hat flips, the fake teasing the teams. I think it's a little mean myself, but that's what it is. Mike, we're looking forward to it tonight at 6. Kyle, good to see you. So, folks, regardless of who you root for, please join us across all of our networks. And again, today at 5, 6, and 7 with Michigan, Florida State, and Miami football talk. So once again, as it stands right now, Miami with a big day. They lost Shemar Stewart. He made comments that he may have signed with Miami, but just didn't have the time to get comfortable and familiar with Coach Cristobal and the rest of the staff. So Miami loses Shemar Stewart to Texas A&M. There it is. Texas A&M adds to what might be the greatest class in the history of high school recruiting. But Miami does bring in running back Trevonte Citizen, the surprise of the day from Louisiana, defensive lineman Ahmad Moten from Florida, Inez Cooper, offensive lineman, who is a under the radar selection there that a lot of people love his upside. Georgia loses running back Jordan James to Oregon. That's a flip from Georgia to Oregon for Jordan James out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But Georgia does get Christian Miller away from Ohio State. Christian Miller decides to stay home and go to Georgia, and also running back Andrew Paul out of Texas. Clemson, disappointing class for the Tigers to a certain extent. It's a small class, 11th in the rankings right now, but they have a nice day in running back Keith Adams and defensive lineman Caden Story. That's the big one for them. We've talked in recent weeks about Jack Pyburn, the edge rusher, who's climbing the charts in the recruiting rankings out of Jacksonville, Florida. Miami folks wanted him, but Pyburn stays closer to home and goes to Florida. Louisville signs a 4-star cornerback in Jeremiah Caldwell. So let me get the numbers on Caldwell. According to 247 Sports, Jeremiah Caldwell's the 36th rated corner or safety. They've got him listed both position, corner, but their position rankings have him as a safety. I believe he's a corner, top 400 player. Jeremiah Caldwell signs with Louisville over Kentucky. We usually don't talk a whole lot of Cowboys football, meaning Wyoming, but they plucked away offensive lineman Deshaun Woods, a 4-star from Mizzou, who was locked in at Missouri. And Deshaun Woods is highly thought of as the 12th rated interior offensive lineman in the country, going to Wyoming. He's from Nebraska. So what happened there with the Huskers and Scott Frost, I don't know, but you're talking about the 2nd rated player in the state of Nebraska who originally committed to Mizzou, and now he's going to Wyoming. I don't know if anyone's alerted him that he's not going to be blocking for Josh Allen. Oklahoma State signs wide receiver in Stephon Johnson. And Stephon Johnson is out of DeSoto, Texas, 73rd rated wide receiver, top 75 player in the state of Texas. And he signs after receiving 16 offers. Stephon Johnson goes to Oklahoma State. Of course, they've got a history of wide receivers there at OK State. Washington gets a flip from Arizona State in safety Tristan Dunn. He's a 4-star. We talked about Nebraska's big day. They got a couple flips. Janarin Bonner, Georgia Tech. A.J. Allen, the running back out of TCU. Just talked about Jordan James, the Georgia flip to Oregon. Oklahoma still awaiting word on a few other players. And so keep in mind, we've got announcements coming in from Harold Perkins, the number 1 rated linebacker in the country, at 4:30 Eastern. Devon Campbell at 5. Grayson Halton at 5:30. Dave Iuli at 6:30. Jacoby Matthews at 7. So 5 or 6 big announcements later today. Duke gets on the board for us. Running back Travis Bates. Colorado signs Anthony Hankerson, a running back. I only noted these signings because they were pretty highly rated players. And again, we talked about Jalen Davis Robinson going to LSU. Let's see if anything else has come down. The R. Mason Thomas signing that we noted just came down on 247 Sports. So this is the R. Mason Thomas, 34 in the rankings at edge rusher out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 52nd rated player in the state. And so he goes to OU and Brent Venables. Shadow asked me about Terence Gibbs. That just came down on 247 Sports. Yeah, Georgia Southern. So big signing for a Sun Belt team to get the 4-star. What's going on with the Gators? I got nothing specific on Florida football. We'll track down our guy David Waters this week, hopefully. But right now, Billy Napier's got 20th rated class in the country, number 9 in the SEC, 3 enrolled already, 12 signed letters of intent, 2 hard commits. So these, Q Lee, are the guys that you need to look out for. They're hard commits who have yet to sign. Caleb Douglas. So they've not gotten the paperwork on Caleb Douglas, the wide receiver out of Texas. So they're awaiting that, even though he committed today. And Andrew Savalanea, defensive lineman out of Washington. So those are 2 hard commits for Florida that have yet to sign. They have not received. And that becomes, we hear about that a handful of times on National Signing Day, in which somebody's a hard commit, the coaches fully expect it, and then they wait and wait and wait and wait. And sometimes there are technical glitches because they're still faxing in signatures. Can you believe that in the year 2022, still faxing in signatures? And Karuba, I know you're just joining us here. Or is that Kahuba? 2.3. Just joining us. Yes, Big Red flexing its muscles. Two big signings, flips from Georgia Tech and from TCU. And we've talked about it a number of times, so I'm not going to go back on those. Understand that as soon as we get off here, you can jump back on and check out what you missed. Roland here letting us know about Jalen Farmer, interior offensive lineman out of Georgia. Not that highly ranked, but sometimes, as you just mentioned right there, a late riser. So don't buy completely into the rankings. They're huge. We cite them all the time. You can line up the best teams in the country and line up the recruiting rankings, and they parallel and all that. But there are tons of guys that really come on as seniors in high school. Just imagine the crapshoot that it is, despite all the millions of dollars that are poured into NFL scouting to determine how good 21 and 22-year-olds are projected to the NFL. And then understand how much more difficult it is. It's just exponentially more difficult to project a 17-year-old and how good they're going to be at 19, 20, 21, because the bodies change and many of them have hit their ceiling to a certain extent or close to it. And others just have so much more growth and potential and ceiling left. So it's difficult. So, yeah, the rankings mean a ton in mass, but for individual players, yes, there are high risers where they developed, they grew, they physically grew, and they grew from a development standpoint at their position over the summer, played their tails off, performed this fall, and their recruiting ranking has not caught up with them. We've got the Shoelace 17 thoughts on Penn State in the future of their offense. So we're going to talk some Penn State football tomorrow with our guys from Black Shoe Diaries. I'll make mention of this. It's arguably the best class that James Franklin has brought in. Plus, he gets a studded quarterback out of Medina, Ohio, and Drew Aller. That could be the big key right there, because Penn State has had good quarterbacks, decent quarterbacks under James Franklin, most notably, of course, Sean Clifford right now, Christian Hackenberg. If you go back a few years, Tracy McSorley was a gamer. He was the epitome of a gamer. But if you're talking about elite quarterback play, they may have finally gotten their guy at Penn State out of Medina, Ohio, and Drew Aller. But the Penn State recruiting class is arguably the best under James Franklin. Yo, Nate. Jeff likes Bama with the number 2 class. I know Bama fans don't like to necessarily hear that, but does it really matter? Ryan Reddick, any news on where Harold Perkins ends up? 247's Crystal Ball really likes LSU. His family's from Baton Rouge. They did move to Texas because of Hurricane Katrina, but they have roots in Louisiana, and that appears to be where Harold Perkins, according to 247 Sports, I want to always cite my sources. This is not coming from me. Harold Perkins, I believe, is going to make his announcement at 4:30 Eastern. Michigan State commit. Who are we looking at there? Okay. That would be for 2023. They got to commit out of Detroit MLK offensive lineman Jonathan Slack. And also last Friday, a 3-star running back in Cole Cabana. Normal guy, our thoughts are that we're understanding that Harold Perkins is going to announce at 4:30 Eastern. Steve-O, does USC have a shot at Josh Connerly if Michigan is now out of the picture? Absolutely. So Michigan has 22 signed, and Kevontae Henry in particular was a hard commit. I think he's in question as well, coming from California. But anybody that's not signed at Michigan, you got to believe that their commitment was, unless they're a Michigan born and bred individual that was going to Michigan, loves the school, loves the team, and they're committed to what's going on in Michigan outside of the coaching staff. The rest of it is so predicated on relationships with the coaching staff that, man, you take away the head coach and most likely the rest of the coaching staff, and anybody that's coming from out of state has to be completely up in the air now about where they're going to commit now. So yes, Josh Connerly is in play for USC. F. Scott, I think that's an astute comment about Lane Kiffin, and he connects with young players. It seems that way. I don't necessarily get it based on his demeanor at the podium, but he could be a much different guy, or maybe they just love that laid back style. That's what he is. He's a very laid back guy that's very comfortable just telling it like it is based on his perspective. Yes, relationships with the boosters or the NIL people. For as much as I hate to hear that, truth. Thank you, David. Depending on the school. That's the truth for all schools, but I think to different degrees. Citizen Cooper, also Moton, Eric Galloway, not done yet. Please join us tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with Cam Underwood from State of the U on our Miami show. Yeah, Don. So we talked about this. I apologize, Dan. So we talked about this earlier. Michigan commits are locked in. Seems like Harbaugh knew he was just gone, but just didn't. Walker Riley situation. They just need to go through the portal as many already started classes. Yeah, they'll just have to see how it goes. There's going to be some that are going to stay regardless. There's going to be some that are in a wait and see mode that are going to be like, okay, well, let's see who they hire. Let's see if I like these new coaches because I like everything else that's going on here. I like the attachments. It's like when we talk about coaches leaving situations and looking for other opportunities, some of the checklist items are obvious: money, location, ability to win. The Buckeyes are pretty well locked down, Michael. There was not supposed to be much movement, if any, at Ohio State. Of course, join us on Thursday for our Ohio State show with Steve Hellwagon, Kevin Noon, and Tony Gerdeman. That's going to be Thursday at 11. But the Buckeyes have the number 4 ranked class in the country, and those 21 that are signed are the 21 that are right there and going to stay signed with the 2 5-stars. And Buckeye fans, you should be happy about this. The 2 5-stars for the 22 class, of course, are defensive players in CJ Hicks and Sonny Styles. Caleb, yes, we did review Nebraska's situation, landing a 4-star wide receiver in Janarian Bonner, and then also A.J. Allen flipped from TCU. So 2 big Nebraska flips from Georgia Tech and from TCU. Ron, I would think that you might have a point, except for it's going to be difficult for the NFL to accept that. They want certain physical requirements, and football being the most physically demanding sport, cannot see 17, 18-year-old kids playing in the NFL and getting the snot beat out of them. All right. Got a question coming in. Since John gone out, Michigan, who do you think the coach and our players leaving? Don't know what that means. Ty, the Trojans are winning the national championship with the signing of Caleb Williams. Oh, got a defense to deal with, and you got to build up an offensive line to win a national championship. Winning the Pac-12 versus winning 2 more games in the college football playoff are 2 entirely different levels. Go Blue. Do you think other schools are calling JJ and Donovan Edwards to transfer? Well, they better not be, because that would be a violation. So I don't necessarily know that. And I just think for all the rules bending or breaking that goes on out there, I don't think that one happens, because that can easily be determined and found out, and those schools would be in serious hot water. Robin looking for Matt Campbell to leave Iowa State and go to Michigan. He has been my number 1 guy for the last couple of years, ever since the Harbaugh talk started. Caleb, I think we're looking at Matt Campbell. I think we're looking at possibly, somebody just threw it in here, AMAC. Dave Aranda would be a tremendous hire, but I would be a Matt Campbell guy. There was somebody that I thought of last night, actually, that I moved ahead of Campbell. And who would that have been? Of course, you got Luke Fickell. People like to talk about him. Some Michigan fans don't want to think about Luke Fickell being in a Michigan coaching position. Harold Perkins to Alabama? I think not. It looks like LSU, Texas A&M, Florida. Wisconsin, I don't believe, has signed anyone today. A day ago, so meaning on Tuesday, 3-star wideout Chris Brooks flipped to Wisconsin. All right, folks, we got a great show going here. We appreciate it. I just wanted to get everyone updated. I had collected about 50 names of guys who have signed just here in the last couple hours. And again, I'll run through them, not verbally, because I've talked about each one of them a number of times. And then we'll review the 247 Sports list to see if we've missed anybody here in the last few minutes. But these are all the guys that we've tracked and talked about here, signed to all these schools. And of course, that's probably the biggest signing of the day. Texas A&M getting Shemar Stewart, and Miami misses out on him, but still a big day for the Canes. And I appreciate everybody being here with over 300 strong on the line. And we will be back at 5 o'clock Eastern time for our Michigan show, Florida State at 6 and Miami at 7. That was it. Why did I not remember that, Mike? Thank you so much for that. Matt Rule is the guy that for all this time, since Jim Harbaugh has been either on the hot seat or considering an NFL job for this past year, Matt Campbell's been my front runner, but now I do like Matt Rule as a possible replacement for Harbaugh at Michigan. All right, folks, we will see all of you back here at 5 o'clock Eastern time for our Michigan show, Florida State at 6, Miami at 7. In the meantime, enjoy National Signing Day, and I will continue to track the signings and get back to all of you as soon as possible. Again, over the next couple of days, folks, be looking out for these National Signing Day discussions and more. Clemson, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, Kentucky, LSU, Texas A&M, Bama, Oregon, and more right here at the Voice of College Football. Also, what I've been asking the last several days is we're always looking for a sponsor so we could possibly benefit your business. I know that we could by partnering with you on a sponsorship, but also we would love to know who you root for. I'm trying to get a great feel for the fan bases that are repped here on our main channel. So please hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail, MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Just let me know who you root for. And if you want to add to that, I would love to know how long you've been watching and anything you'd like to tell me about your fan history as a college football fan. How that got started, anything you want to tell me. I've heard some great stories, and it's nice to get to know many of you through your college football stories. But let me know your favorite team. I would love to get a pretty accurate count on what fan bases are represented here at the Voice of College Football. So hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. And again, we are looking for sponsorships, and we know we can benefit your business right here at the Voice of College Football. See you tonight at 5 Eastern for Michigan, Florida State at 6, Miami at 7. Appreciate all of you.